and welcome to the Carry My Heart podcast. I'm Carrie. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry at KECogan, and you can also find show notes for this episode about anything that I talk about just by searching the Carry My Heart podcast under the groups tab on Ravelry. So I'm coming to you from Chicago, Illinois, where it is finally fall weather, which is glorious. I am snug as a bug inside right now. I am all snuggled up in this blanket that I crocheted many moons ago. I guess not that long ago, maybe 3 or 4 years. It's just, just a basic chevron pattern that I knit using Knit Picks Brava yarn, which is incredibly soft and versatile, and I love it. So it's technically David's blanket. I made it for him while we were doing long distance. But now that we are reunited permanently, I get the luxury of using it now too. So like I said, it is finally cool weather. I had the door open earlier, and I actually delayed recording today by quite a few hours. I was going to record probably at about noon today. It's now 3:30. But today is the Chicago Marathon, and while it is done now, it was quite loud earlier. I am lucky enough that my apartment actually just step right outside the door, and part of the race goes right by. And so it was really fun. David and I woke up this morning, made some tea, and went out and watched. And the bit right outside of our apartment is actually just under the finish line. And so these runners only had like a mile left to go. And boy, did they look tired and in pain, but they all knew they were so close that they were just really, really pushing themselves to finish. And it was really fun to cheer them on. But I had to postpone recording because even with all the windows and the door closed, you could hear all the people on the street cheering, which was really fun to listen to. I had the door open earlier just to cool it off in here and get some fresh air circulating. But it was quite loud, very, very noisy, but fun to listen to. So it's been a while since I have podcasted, and I apologize for that. It's been about 5 weeks now, and that's a long time. That's a really long time. The past 3 weekends, I've been telling myself, okay, I'm going to record today, and then I never did. And I am finally sitting down to talk to you all now, and I really appreciate you being here with me today. If this is your first time watching the podcast, welcome. I'm really thrilled that you found us. And if you're a returning viewer, then welcome back. You guys are pretty much the reason why I keep doing this. You all just leave the sweetest comments, and I love talking with y'all. So even though it's been 5 weeks, I do not have a finished object, but I do have a half-finished object, so I will show that off first. So this is the Hermione's Everyday sock pattern, and they are lovely. I'm pretty much in love with this pattern just because it has created the coolest sock. I love the texture so much, and this sock actually fits me perfectly. I cast on 60 stitches for this sock, which is a change from the last pair of socks I knitted, which was my first ever pair of socks. So to say that I'm just in the learning stage of knitting socks is definitely an understatement, but I've really been enjoying sort of figuring out what works best for my foot specifically. And so my other pair of socks, my cat socks, I cast on 56 stitches. These are 60 stitches, and they fit me spot on. So I think a 60 stitch sock is going to be my go-to. And so this yarn though is really, really nice. This is Lazy Bee sock yarn. And this is the Princeling colorway, and it's just this beautiful gradient yarn. I love, 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 love purple, and then I also love blue, and so this yarn was pretty much perfectly me. This is yarn that my future mother-in-law got me from Lincoln, Nebraska, and I just really can't speak highly enough about it. And I have cast on the next sock. It was funny because on Instagram, I posted a picture of the sock and then asked people for the next sock whether I should make it identical to this one or if I should do an opposite sock. So the yarn, when I received it, it was already split into two hanks of yarn, two identical hanks. And so I could make identical socks if I wanted to. But the resounding vote was that I should do opposite socks. And so I've cast them on, and they're going to go from a blue cuff down to a purple toe. And so let's see. Oop, there they are. This is what I have so far. Just a little bit of the sock. I've completed the cuff, and now I've moved on to the pattern, but I think I've only done, looks like just one pattern repeat. Because I kind of got caught up in another sock project, which I'll show you in a second. But the yarn is so incredibly nice. Because I didn't finish all of the other ball, the blue toe of this sock is not as saturated as the blue cuff of this. And so likewise, I know that the purple toe of this sock will not be as purple as the cuff of this one, but it's just because I didn't get all the way to the end of the ball. I guess that's the problem with cuff down socks. It's hard to know how long to make your leg so that you don't run out of yarn. And I know now that, I could knit the cuff and the leg, quite a bit longer, and I should be fine. But you still don't want to take that chance. It's just a little nerve-wracking. But loving this yarn so far. It's really soft. I think it's just, I've misplaced the label, but I believe it's just, it's either 75-25 or 80-20 superwash merino and then nylon. So just your typical sock yarn, but it's nice, it's soft, and I'm obsessed with the texture that this pattern gives. So cannot recommend it highly enough. And I finally have a good sock formula. So it's really exciting. I keep just doing like a heel flap and gusset for my heel. And I do want to try out different heels. I want to get like the pattern for the Fish Lips Kiss heel and any other different heels there are, like an afterthought heel or anything. So I do want to try some different heels, but for now, I'm just quite content with the rhythm that I've gotten into with my sock knitting. So these are my Hermione's Everyday socks. And then I've also started a test knit for Devin of Franco Fee Knits. She has some really just awesome patterns, and this sock pattern is no exception. When she sort of put out a call for test knitters, I was like, yes. Mid-episode, I paused, went onto Instagram and messaged her and asked her if she still needed test knitters because I wanted to do her socks. And so these are her Macaron Socks. And for such a sweet name, I wanted equally sweet yarn. So this is Knit Picks Felici, and this is the Sprinkles colorway. So I thought it was fitting, but really, really loving this pattern so much. The reason why she calls the pattern Macaron Socks is just because you just get these little like raised bumps that do sort of mimic a macaroon cookie. And as a result, it's so incredibly squishy. And this sock construction is also a heel flap and gusset, which I love. Right now I'm working on doing the decreases, and I'll be onto the foot shortly. and I love it so much. She should be releasing the pattern soon. I'm coming up on the deadline for the socks. I should make it, no problem. But as soon as, she gets all her feedback from her test knitters, she will be releasing this pattern, and I really can't recommend it enough. It's so squishy. And, it's crazy yarn, but these would also be beautiful, I think, just with some more subtle yarn. You don't have to go super crazy for this pattern, which I think is nice. So I can't wait to see how these feel on my foot. So I'm really, really loving these, and also really enjoying the yarn. I've never worked with Felici before, but Knit Picks does this thing where they have Felici for a while and then they get rid of it. And then I think everybody complains and they bring it back again. And so they put out that notice that, once they were through their stock, Felici was going to be gone again. And so I had to pick up some because as a sock knitter now, I needed some self-striping yarn in my stash. So I did do a little bit of yarn shopping probably 2 weeks ago. But I'll show you what else I got later. So because I am such a sock knitter now, I haven't really been working on this project. I've worked on it quite a bit since we last spoke. I don't have a progress keeper anywhere on here. I should, so I can, actually show you all how much I've worked on it. But I actually only have 16 rows on this left. So I think, as soon as I can finish up the test to knit for Devin, then I just want to power through this and get it done. But this is my Wildheart Shawl, which is a pattern by Janina Callio. Let's see if I can show you all a little closer. And the yarn is Madeline Tosh Merino Light in the filtered light colorway, which is just this pretty natural color with flecks of oranges and blues and browns in it. And I'm obsessed with it. I really can't get enough of this colorway. And that's why I really want to finish the shawl, even though I'm not totally dedicated to working on it. I really want the finished product so that I can wear it and love it and enjoy it now that the weather is cooler. So I'm really, really hoping to have this done soon. Like I said, only 16 more rows. I don't have a whole lot of the cake left. I'm not going to run out of yarn or anything, but just watching this get smaller and smaller, I know I'm like, okay, it's almost done. It's almost done. So, and it's not because I don't enjoy the pattern. The pattern's great. I've just had this on the needles since July, I think, and it's time for it to be done. It's been too long. It's been too long. Whoops. And the ball of yarn just rolled all the way across the room, but that's okay. So I don't have any more whips to show you. I've been pretty good. I felt like I was totally breaking outside of my usual knitting norm by casting on this other pair of socks. So I never have probably more than 3 whips going at a time. And so it's just going to be these 3 until I can get one of them done. But I do have some spinning to show you all. I showed you the plied yarn last time before I had washed it and gotten it into a hank and set the twist and everything. And so this is my second attempt at spindle spinning. And so it's pretty good. It could be better, but for now it's not too bad. I'm still insanely proud of it. And it's got some awesomely funky barber pulling going on, which I love. I totally dig it. And I don't know if I'm going to do anything with this. But if I don't, that's okay. I still think it's pretty. I'm going to keep it with my other teeny tiny hank of yarn that I've created. And unfortunately, I haven't done any more spinning since I finished washing this guy, unfortunately. So I don't have anything new to show you spinning wise. I just haven't had the time. Any free time that I have been able to devote towards crafting has been exclusively knitting. So, but soon I will get back to it and I will have more to show you. And it's just that season of life for me right now where, I don't have a whole lot of free time. So I have to pick and choose what I'm going to spend my time doing, which is okay. So for now, for me, that's knitting. But maybe I'll knit this guy up. I think it'd be really fun to see what he actually looks like knit up. Because I know that hand-spun yarn is much more forgiving than it looks like it would be. So I don't think it would look nearly as wonky once I knit it up. It would just be a matter of finding the perfect pattern for it. So we'll see. To be determined. I will keep you all updated though. It's definitely been interesting. So, and then next I want to talk to you guys about something that I'm actually going to frog, which is a little sad, but I'm actually happy with my decision that I'm going to do it. I haven't done it yet, but as teeny tiny as it is, I have decided I'm going to frog my Cozy Memories blanket, my Cozy Memories rectangle. Not because I don't enjoy working on it, I really do, but I've decided I want to use my minis and my leftover yarn for something else. It's still going to be a blanket, but I've decided that I want to do more of like a granny stripe style blanket, something that will use up literally all the bits of yarn. I won't be restricted by too little yarn. Like if it wasn't enough to make a square, then I won't be restricted by not being able to put it in. Or if it's a lot of yarn, these 3 squares actually, I still have sizable bits left, and so I'm gonna rip all of this out. Not that it was a lot to begin with, but I'm gonna rip it out and I'm going to start a granny stripe blanket. I am pretty much obsessed with Molly of A Homespun House, and she is working on a granny stripe blanket right now. And she also does a Cozy Memories blanket, and hers is so beautiful, and I'm so incredibly inspired by all the different blankets that podcasters have made using their minis. And as beautiful as they are, I just don't feel anymore like it's the blanket for me. I mean, obviously, I have not added anything else to it. Not that I really have a whole lot to add to it, but I just think a blanket is better crocheted. So knit blankets are beautiful, but my blanket style is to crochet them. I know that it's still going to take a while because I will have to be acquiring the waste yarn, the scrap yarn, to make the blanket, but it won't take as long to incorporate those minis as it would to knit them, because crochet is just so much faster than knitting. So that's the story of my Cozy Memories blanket. It is going to become a granny stripe blanket instead, and I'm really happy about that decision. So I hope you won't be saddened by the loss of my Cozy Memories blanket. Not that you ever saw it very often anyways. So it is what it is. My policy is that I'm only going to knit what makes me happy. So that's all there is to it. I was not deriving great pleasure from it, so I'm going to transform it into something else. But I do have some acquisitions on a happier note. So, like I said, I did some shopping on Knit Picks. This is the other ball of the Felici and the Sprinkles colorway. That doesn't want to focus for you, as it never does, but that's that. I also picked up 2 other balls of Felici, and this is the Beyond the Wall colorway, which is a bit darker, a bit more masculine. Just the name of it kind of makes me think of Game of Thrones and the infamous wall. But yeah, I mean, Felici, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and this will make another lovely pair of socks. And maybe I'll make David some socks. So I think there's nothing cooler than seeing somebody else use something that you've knitted. So I've been doing quite a bit of selfish knitting recently. But now that the holidays are coming up, I want to start thinking about some gifting. So, and then I picked up 2 Knit Picks yarns that I have never worked with before. The first is their Precocia, if I'm saying that correctly. It's a tonal yarn. It's a fingering weight. It is 100% merino, 437 yards. And I picked up the Crest colorway and the Blue Skies colorway. And I am thinking that these want to be a shawl together, because just look at those together. And I love me some blues. So I just think this is the prettiest blue-green. And then this is a bit more baby blue than I expected it to be, but I still think it's going to be pretty. So I'm on the hunt for the perfect shawl project for these. So, and because I have a hard time reading, not really, but I didn't actually read what this yarn was all about, I was quite surprised to discover that it's actually a single space. So, which is great. I am enjoying singles yarn. My Wildheart Shawl is the first singles yarn I've ever used. And I mean, Tosh Merino Light is pretty much the perfect singles yarn I could ever have picked for a first project. But Knit Picks has never let me down in the past, and I don't think they will with this either. So, and then the other yarn that I picked up is their Alpaca Cloud Fingering, which is 100% superfine alpaca. Obviously, look how drapey it is. And then 200 yards, and this is the Catherine colorway. And I honestly have no idea what I'm gonna do with this. I literally only picked it up because I needed like $5 more to get the free shipping. So don't we all do that though? What's the point of ordering online if you can't get the free shipping? So I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I wanted to pick up some Knit Picks yarn that was new to me, and then I just can't get over this dark purple color. So plus all of the Alpaca Cloud yarn colorway names are named after characters from Jane Austen's novels. So like there's a Darcy and Elizabeth, and so you know, with names like those, how can you go wrong? I really just love them all so much. So that is all like the yarny goodness that I have to show you all. Like I said, I've been so incredibly busy, and so I'm sorry that it's been this long since I last podcasted. It's quite pitiful, actually. But I really do appreciate everybody's patience. I've just been so busy because I'm going to school full time. Right now I'm getting my master's in education, and I'm also working full time. And then on top of all of that, I am planning my wedding. which is an extremely joyful time and experience. I'm loving it. But the past few weeks, I've started to be more stressed about it. I'm not usually the one to get stressed about this kind of stuff. And for the longest time, I was doing really well about it. But the past few weeks, I've suddenly felt the weight of everything that I have to do. And so it's been a bit busy, to say the least. So I really appreciate you sticking around. I'm always going to be busy. Everybody's busy. But I love podcasting. I love talking to you all, obviously, or else I wouldn't keep doing it. So I know that I'm a slow uploader, but I appreciate you always coming back and watching. It really, really means a lot. So I could keep talking forever, but on that note, I'm going to let you go. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I hope you have a great week ahead, and I hope that it is not too long until we see each other again. And with that, I will bid you adieu, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.